and let's do this.
Oh, we're recording this too?
Well, because it's going to go on YouTube as well.
Oh, so we're doing both of them at the same time?
Yes, and we're starting now.
Again.
Ready? Okay.
All right.
It's just setting up. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, we just have a little bit of lag time here.
Wait.
Great. Okay, we are in. So, hello everyone. Luz Gonzalez here. I am your favorite. Oh, yeah, we have a little echo. Did you fix it?
Okay, we are in. So, hello.
Can you turn that off?
Gonzalez here.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Great. Awesome. So, just some technical difficulties here. We're good. So, welcome everyone. My name is Luz Gonzalez. I am your favorite online business coach. And in these mini interview series, we're going to be talking to experts in their field, people who have been successful in all the things that you need to be successful at for you to take your business to the next level, which in the 21st century, which we are in, means your business, whether you are a yoga instructor, you're a baker, an auto mechanic, you are, marketing agency, whatever it is, you need to be online and you have to have a badass online strategy. And so I'm going to be bringing people like Jay here, and I'm super excited for our interview today. So today we're going to be talking about Instagram. And if you are a business owner, and if you are not on Instagram, what are you doing with your life? Come on. So you need to be on Instagram, and you need to have the right strategy on Instagram. And we're going to be talking about all of these best practices. And we have an expert here with us. So I met Jay last week. We were at a Tony Robbins business event where a bunch of business owners from all over the world come together, and they're there to take their business to the next level. And we happened to be co-captains. So we were captains of our teams, and we got to work together. And along those conversations, learned that Jay grew his Instagram organically to close to 100,000 people, which is pretty amazing, right? And so on today's interview, we're going to be talking about his journey to get there, what he thinks was most important in having that sort of success. And I'm also going to be sharing some just business tips in terms of your social media presence, and specifically Instagram. So hold on to your seats. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be powerful. And Jay, can you jump on in and introduce yourself, talk about a little bit about you and your Instagram journey? So excited to have you.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to do this. So Instagram for me, it started off kind of accidentally because I was going to school in Daytona. I was living there, and then like one of my friends who's really close to me now, at the time I didn't know him. We met randomly at one of the offices. We hit it off, and he was really big into social media and all that kind of stuff. And like immediately he's like, oh, like this is what I do on Instagram. He started showing me all these different things that he started to do. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't really know what to do on Instagram. Like I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do with all this knowledge. He's like, Jay, I'm giving you all the information that I have to take this account that took my account from like 0 to like 150,000 followers, and you can do it too. And you're telling me you don't know what to do with it? Find something to do. I'm like, come on, right? I have to find something to do. So I started all these different Instagram accounts and different themes and niches. It actually became overwhelming to the point because I was the only one handling all of them. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of niched down, and I decided on certain ones that I really wanted to focus on. And one of them was the daily law of attraction, which I have now. And I mean, there were periods where I was on consistently, and then there was a period of like 6 to 8 months where I just stopped posting fully because I was like in a place where I didn't even have the energy that the post needed, that I was trying to convey to other people. So I didn't really feel like I should post anything at all. Because if I don't have the specific messages that for me, the reason that I started the Instagram as well, for this one specifically, was as a reminder to myself of what's important to me. Like some of the messages like, oh, your thoughts become things. Like once I started to really post more about it and go in depth about it and like start ranting on it in like a Facebook post, it started to go more in depth in my brain, and it started to make me actually start to see it and act by it in multiple different areas of my life. That's one of the ways that I got started with Instagram.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we'll be going into those tips that his friend shared with him, and he's going to share with us. And I'm going to invite all of you to use it responsibly. if you are joining me here today, you know that our mission is to create an army of millionaires and billionaires for impact. We are using our resources and our influence to directly impact the world's most pressing problems and challenges. So if you're getting this information here, you are using it responsibly and you're using it for good to change the world, to transform lives in a positive way. So let's go ahead and dive in and let's talk strategy. One of my favorite things to talk about is strategy. So you talked about how you started a few different accounts. Talk to me about why you started a few different accounts and what does it mean to find, a specific focus and why that's so important.
So the reason that I started different accounts was because originally when he first gave me information, I'm like, oh, I want 100,000 followers. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, with this 100,000 followers, I can do this, this, and this type of thing. That was kind of like the mind and the way that my mind was operating. And the reason I stopped doing that was because then I started to realize that they weren't in alignment with my values in life. And I started to realize that there was some of them that were about traveling. And during the time I didn't travel a lot. So it really didn't make sense to have a traveling Instagram page. Another one was all about cryptocurrency, which I was really big in at the time. And then as time progressed, I kind of leaned out of it. And I'm like, you know what? This isn't something that I want to consistently post about. So I leaned out of that. There was another one about hustling and stuff like that, which I do believe in, but at the same time, it was just too much work for me to put in. And I wanted to work on just one thing. So I decided on just one of them. And the one that I wanted to focus on was the Daily Law of Attraction one. One of the books that I read at the time was Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh. It's one of my favorite books. It's this thick. It's 3 different books combined together. Yeah. And in that book, there was different messages throughout it that really transformed the way that I was showing up in the world. I wanted to constantly tell people, others, that this message that I learned from it, and at the same time remind myself of the messages in there. So I had a list of different things that were important to me, and every now and then I'd go to that list and I'd feel oh, this is something that's important to me, and then I'd find a post, I'd repost it. And one thing that I always did with those accounts was I'd always give credit to the person that I got the post from. And there's different reasons. At the time, I just did it because I knew it was the right thing to do. But then now, as I look back on it, there are other things that came to benefit from just doing that. So it's actually really beneficial for both parties to actually make sure that you're crediting and tagging the people inside the post. Yeah. So you want to get started in the 5 practices?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. So as you took your accounts from 0 to this one, almost 100,000, what were the top 5 things, top 5 lessons, the top 5 practices that you think led to success in making that happen?
So one of them was definitely the fact that I was guided by someone that knew what he was doing.
You're right. Get a mentor.
That was get a mentor, get someone that's seen the road ahead so that you can actually follow them. And I started following everything that he told me to the T. I did everything that he told me to do. And then after a certain point, I went back to him and I'm like, hey, I don't think that these things are things that I should do anymore. They're not really getting results anymore. So I'm actually doing this, this, and this. And I'm like, is that a bad thing? I was just trying to get an understanding of what he would say, because he's done this multiple times for different people. And then he's like, no, that's perfectly fine. Things, especially in Instagram, the algorithms are consistently changing. So the thing that may have worked 2 to 3 months ago is not always going to work right now. You have to constantly be willing to adapt and research the things that are currently working and then change it and implement it into it consistently. And I think that's one of the biggest things, just being flexible and being able to change the way that you're operating. To know, and in order to do that, you have to know what the long-term objective is. Once you get a very clear long-term objective, you can then start to change your approach and wiggle around it to get what you really want out of the Instagram account. So some of the things that he taught me when I was first getting started that I recommend everyone do, and that is still relevant to today, is making sure that your hashtags are congruent with the amount of followers that you have right now. A lot of times people have hashtags that have 10 million posts or 20 million posts, and there's nothing wrong with using those hashtags. It's just if that hashtag has that many posts, that means that there are a lot of people using it over a consistent time daily. And that means that you have more competition, especially larger channels that have a larger following that are probably going to show up at the top. So in each hashtag, there's always like a highlight section where there's like the posts that have the most like feedback and all that kind of stuff. And if you go to the hashtag, it's usually going to be like 9 to 10 posts on the top. And every other post is just like based on the timing that it was posted. So if you want to make sure that you're showing up in that hashtag and showing up in the feeds and all that kind of stuff, you have to make sure that the hashtags are congruent with your following. If you have 1,000 followers, you want to stay anywhere between 50,000 posts to 100,000 and up to 1 million. So like the majority, and you can have up to 30 posts right now as of today. And I use all of them. Some people don't use all 30 hashtags. I mean, that's honestly up to you. It's a personal preference thing. I think why not optimize it? So I optimize it completely. The majority of my posts during the time when I first started were 50,000 to around 250,000.
Okay.
And that was about 20. And then I had 5 of them that were kind of high risk. So those were like the 1 million to 3 to 5 million, somewhere around that range. And then I had the other 5 that I would kind of just circulate based on the post itself.
Can you talk about circulation of hashtags? So we know that Instagram dings you if you continue. So for those that are new to Instagram, you're going to have to create like groups of hashtags. There's a whole thing behind like hashtag strategy, and hashtag strategy is so important to Instagram. So you're going to have different groups of hashtags. Can you talk about why we shouldn't just post the same 30 things over again and again and again?
Well, I mean, so one of the things that I do personally to make it easier for me is I have a certain amount of hashtags already written out in a notes pad and on my phone. And then I just copy and paste it. But each one is different. There are certain hashtags that are similar in all of them. Like my account is Daily Law of Attraction. So it's Law of Attraction content. So I have a personal hashtag, which is my own, that I always rank in, that I always have in all of them. And then I have other hashtags like Law of Attraction or like Manifest in all of them. And then after that, some of my posts are going to be about gratitude. They're going to be about being thankful for the things that you have now. So I have a set of hashtags that are basically specified for just that. Like there'll be appreciation, gratitude, thank you, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll have another one, which is about like positive vibes. Like there's going to be other posts that's just about like sending positive energy and all that kind of stuff. And all the hashtags are related to that. Then there's going to be another hashtag where it might be something very specific to individuals themselves. And so I have like different individuals that are in the law of attraction field, and I have like different hashtags for them in there as well. Really, you have to figure out, first of all, and I guess this would be the second best practice, is to figure out what your niche is and what like your actually focus is in the Instagram account itself. You were saying earlier how there are a lot of people that have a personal account and are trying to mix the business account at the same time. It's not going to work. It really isn't. Like a lot of people have tried, and maybe it might work when you grow the account to a certain point, but while you're growing it, you really have to make sure that you're focused on the thing that you're trying to, the specific content that you're trying to provide.
But Jay, I like talking about manifestation and cooking and yoga and puppies. Why can't I post all of them?
So which one do you like best? You can post all of those. I would recommend going onto another platform to do all of that though. Try Facebook. Facebook is great for that. You can have all these different contents. Instagram is one of those areas where you have to really focus on the one thing that matters most. And the reason that I'm saying matters most is because it has to be something that excites you. A lot of people, they have Instagram accounts where they're not really excited to get on and do the post. And if you're not really excited to get on and interact with your users, and
what are you doing?
Raving fans, you're not really going to get the most out of the experience of growing the account. And it's not really the end outcome that we're looking for, like getting the 100,000 followers. It's the journey to it. You want that journey to be memorable and enjoyable and fun. And in order for that to happen, it has to be very congruent with what you want, like what turns you on, what makes you happy, you know? And if it isn't, then you're not going to really be you're most likely not going to get to the 100,000 followers because you're just going to quit halfway.
Yes. And I want to jump in. And so this is I think for any starting beginner business owner and just anyone who's starting, basically, especially on Instagram, like Jay said, you've got to focus. I hear from so many business owners who are just starting. They're like, oh my God, but I have this idea and that idea and that idea. And the way that I think about it is you could have, 10 different, like we're talking soccer now, for my Latinos in the house. So imagine like 10 different goalposts and you have 10 balls in front of you. And so you're taking all of your energy and you're hitting it there, you're hitting it there, you're hitting it there. You're not going to get good at any of them. Whereas if you have one goalpost and you have 10 soccer balls and you kick it to the same spot again and again, you're going to get really good at that one thing. So I need you to focus on one thing. So if you guys can commit to one thing, and I know it's hard for you, and like, I'm an artist, I'm creative. Yes, you get to be creative, but if you want to succeed in specific business milestones, you're gonna have to focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. Another way to put it is like someone that's an athlete that's training to do like soccer, they're going to have a very specific training regime compared to someone that's doing football or basketball or anything like that. If you try to practice using the whole basketball thing, you're not going to get the results that you want in soccer. So once again, like Instagram, this is very specific to Instagram. You can use different practices on Facebook and all other social medias, and those are a whole different game field itself.
Yes, absolutely. Perfect. So number 3.
Number 3, I think the biggest thing that most people don't really focus on doing is they don't try to create engagement inside their posts. And so this is one of the most frustrating things for me now, but it's also the most exciting thing that really like gets me to want to go on Instagram and see what's going on over there. And that's the fact that I'm constantly getting people to interact with me through DMs, through comments, through stories. And in the beginning, there wasn't really that much interaction. Like as someone with like 100,000 followers, you'd expect there to be a ton of engagement, right? Yeah. But really, there wasn't. I had to create that culture. And the way that you do that is you actually, like, one of the things that we learned from Tony in Business Mastery, and this was like from the first one that I went to, was create a raving fan culture. Yes. And I never really fully understood it until I went again to Amsterdam and I started to really apply this things over there. So I literally make it so that each post I tell people to DM me. And now there are multiple people that are DMing me about specific things. And I will literally take the time, and it takes, I'm not gonna lie, it takes like an hour or so to actually do it. But I'm doing it because I want to provide value. My whole thing for the Instagram account isn't just to get the 100,000 followers or like for to show people, oh, I have like 100,000 follower Instagram account. It's to remind myself of the things that I need to do on a daily basis. And the best way to do that is to help other people going through the problems that I may have had in the past. So I don't really charge anything for it. This is just something that I just love doing. You know, I'll constantly just DM people. And one of my favorite things to do is when they ask questions, because a lot of times there'll be like a small one question post or a DM, or sometimes it'll be like a huge paragraph, like an essay that they send over. And if it's an essay, or even if it's like a post, like if it's just that one little question, I'll try to dig deeper and get more insight. Just ask, be more specific. That way I can like get you the answer directly. If it's like the essay, then I'll be like, damn, I don't know how to respond to this. So I'll just get the voice memo thing on Instagram and I'll just start recording it.
That's so cool.
I think that's like, I know I think that's the best thing ever, because then you add a personal element to it, and people know that you're not just like, it's not just some robot or something behind it. There's actually someone there responding for you and caring about you, and in congruence with the message that you're sending out on the Instagram account. For me, it's like the spread good vibes type of thing. And if I want that to be the message, I have to actually embody it. And that's one of the things, like if every now and then, if I don't feel like doing that, or I don't feel that high energy, like I'm going to remember that, hey, like there's a lot of people that are looking up to me and I better fucking show up. If I don't show up, then they have an excuse to not show up. So I'm going to show the fuck up. And that's one of the things that keeps me going. So creating that raving fan culture based on what you really want to provide for them, like knowing what you want, the outcome, and then like giving it to them in abundance, like in different ways. So you can do it through the stories. Right now, I'm slowly integrating it into the Instagram TV thing.
Mm-hmm.
Stories, like I'll have posts where they're constantly like DMing me or engaging in some way, and from there I'll give them more information. I'll do like different like I have themes for the month. So like last month's theme was love. The month before that was money. This month is all about empowerment. So like a lot of the posts that I'll do are going to be really relative to that specific theme.
Okay.
Then another thing, one of the things that makes it easier for me, I guess this is the next tip, is I don't create any of my posts. I used to do that and it was so time consuming and so frustrating. I think if you're going to do posts and create them and do all of that stuff, you need to have an actual team of people that you're working with.
Yeah.
I think that just makes it a lot easier. Trying to do all of it and then like multiple different accounts is just a little too much. So for me, one of the things that I did is I just like take another person's post, I'll give them credit and I'll just repost it, but I'll in the story like add more into it. And like I was saying earlier, the reason that that I've noticed now, the benefit that happened through it is when you're actually giving people credit, they first of all notice it. So they're going to like take some of your content and then share that as well. So there's like a collaboration thing going on. Sometimes they'll share the entire post itself to like show your name and all that kind of stuff and get people to you. Another thing is in the shared section, whenever you go to every Instagram account, there's like a section where people have tagged you and that entire section is going to be filled with different posts. So in their share section, you're going to appear multiple times if you're, and they can like go to that and you can get followers from different areas coming directly into your account. And that's something that I didn't realize that I was doing in the beginning. I didn't realize that was all there. I was just doing it because it was the right thing. And then, I mean, it felt the right thing to me. And then now I'm just like, like one of my friends earlier, he's asking me, why do you do that? And I'm thinking about like the business side of it. And I'm just like, or the algorithm side of it. And I'm just like, oh, this is why I'm doing it, for the algorithm side. There are a lot of things that like I did unconsciously with a lot of my social media things that didn't make sense at the time. But then like now that I look back on it and I start to reflect on it, I'm like, wow, that's like actually.
It really worked.
Really. Yeah, that's really like, it works because there's a specific reason why it works too.
That's awesome. And so just so I know that I had a question come up and I'm wondering if other people have the same question. So will you so the other day I was posting someone who speaks on relationships. He said something and I was like, yes, amen. That sounds amazing. And then I created my own post and I credited him. So do you just take the post and reshare it, or do you put it under sort of like the aesthetic of your channel and then post it and tag them? What's the sort of strategy that you use, or do you use a combo?
So another thing that I take into account is whether I have enough time to do stuff. Usually when I don't have, like when we were in Business Mastery like last week, I did not have time to really go through all the posts. We were really busy. We had a lot of things on our mind. So I try to just do it as quickly as possible. When I actually have time though, I'll try to make sure that there's a theme behind all the posts that are being done. And that theme will be congruent to the actual like month thing, like the empowerment for this month. And then it will be congruent to like a certain like visual theme that's appealing to the eye. I think that's also like really, really big. If you can make your entire feed like really appealing to the person that's looking at it, they're going to want to constantly come back and see more, or like constantly scroll down. Like every now and then I have people that are liking stuff that I posted like months ago. And I'm just like, why is these random likes just showing up all of a sudden? It's because it's very appealing and people will go all the way up and scroll all the way up and just like it.
So are you designing your own posts?
I have in the past.
Got it.
And it's just like right now I don't have a social media team behind me. So once I get that going, then I will focus more on creating my own posts. Got
it. Okay. And then, so I can jump in a little bit more on the aesthetic side, guys. So if you guys look at my Instagram, so actually what's the handle for your channel?
At Daily Law of Attraction. I'll put it in the comments. Perfect.
So Jay is at Daily Law of Attraction, and you're going to find me everywhere as Luz C. Gonzalez. You're going to find me on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, like on all the things. That's Luz C. Gonzalez. And so for mine, you will see that it is very branded and it's very purposeful in terms of like what you see. It is very manicured. Nothing happens on my feed like accidentally. everything is part of a plan and a strategy. But what's cool about it, guys, is you can go to my feed and you can scroll down. I think I was checking the other day and it was like March 15th. Before March 15th, you'll go and it looks gross. it looks terrible. It looks like someone's just like randomly posting pictures. And when I sometimes go to entrepreneurs' Instagram, especially your business Instagram accounts, I see them and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, that emoji with like a face palm. Like, you guys are just, it's cool for you to engage. People want to know you as a business person. They want to know about your life, and they are there for a specific reason, right? We talked about having like clarity as to like what your channel is actually about. So if like, ask yourself, does it make sense for you to make, you know, a post about puppies? And if it doesn't really fit in with the purpose and the intention of your channel, of your account, put it in stories, guys. That's what stories are for. What's your take on stories? The way that I do stories, it's like, this is me working. This is me on a workout. This is like me shopping, right? It's like me organically. But you guys are not going to see that many organic posts in terms of my very manicured feed. What about you? What's your take on stories?
So one of the things that I personally need to start implementing is like the story highlights. I think that's also really big.
Yes.
In terms of stories, I think that the accounts that we have are two separate accounts. So one of them for you is your business account, but it's also a personal branded account.
Yes.
So with that, you can definitely go ahead and post things with like your puppy and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I have two different accounts. One of them is a branded account personally, and then the other one is like the law of attraction stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So with the law of attraction stuff, I always make sure that I stick to things that are relevant, even in the stories. A lot of times that may look like, I'll definitely appear on stories every now and then. And it's funny because in Vegas, when we were driving to the place, the venue, one of the guys was like, "Oh, I recognize you." I'm like, "Oh, this is so awkward." Just say no.
It's weird when that starts happening. They're like, "I think I follow you on YouTube," and I'm like, "Oh, hi."
So like I will definitely show up on the law of attraction stories. I just have very specific things. Like sometimes I may be talking about affirmations and incantations, and then like I'll get a lot of people DMing me, and then I'll post something else and I'll go more in depth about it. Another, like recently what I did was something about vision boards. I'd show them my vision board and like explain to them that this is what I would do in a vision board, and then I'd show them different examples that people DM me, and that just kind of, I just try to create something where people will want to engage and interact more. So that's like my primary focus, even with the stories. Like I want to make it as enjoyable for the people to go through, and at the same time most informative as possible, while also getting them to want to be a part of it. So once you start to allow people to become a part of something, and that's another thing, like this account, I know for a fact that it would not be nothing, like it wouldn't be anything with just the thing that created the account itself were all the followers. So once you start to understand that it's not just you, it's also the followers that you're trying to serve in your account, it really, like, you start to show up in a different way.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And then, so Jay was talking about the sort of way that you want to post. And so I was reminding myself, so I have specific guidelines for my team. So my team has now started helping me with all social media management, which is it's so amazing. And so with the guidelines for any content that we release, so you guys might want to write this down, take out your notebook and your pen. So I have 4 things that have to be true for any content. So I've been doing this sort of work since 2014. And, you know, back in 2014, where I was managing the social media posts and just like the sort of marketing for our company, for that startup company, I would talk with my team and I'd say, we do not ever just do information. We are an infotainment company. At least, so we heard about this at Business Mastery. Yes, you can be a plumbing company and you can have funny commercials. You can be entertaining. You can be silly. And so, especially for my business owners, sometimes we take ourselves too seriously and we're just like, well, I just do accounting. Well, yeah, you do accounting, but you do it for human beings. And so my checklist of 4 things that must be included in every single post, it must bring out an emotion. It needs to be emotional. If your post does not inspire an emotion in the reader, then don't post it. So that's what I would tell my team. If it's not going to create some sort of emotional reaction, it's useless. Don't post it. You want to, and some of these are going to be, that one has to happen every single time. Some of these other ones are, like, it'd be great if you have all of it. So number 2, educational, right? So educational or informational. So you're teaching, you're providing value. I think something that we've heard from Jay as well is you need to be providing value. Your channel needs to be providing value to your audience. And if you're not providing value, then you're just not going to see some of the numbers and the engagement that you want to see. So make sure that it's educational or informational. Number 3, inspiring. Posts that are inspiring, again, are going to move people. They're going to want to engage with your page, with your account. And then 4, we want to go for engagement. So especially the emotional and the engagement, every single post, you need to be asking. Yes, you are asking. You're asking for engagement. And you tell people you are a leader. You're a leader on Instagram. You tell them how they can engage with you. And so, type yes, comment below. You ask them a question. So every single post should be asking for some sort of engagement. Thoughts on my list of 4?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of them. So another thing that I'll add to that is there's actually a psychology for the way that we view an image. And I don't have the image with me, but like you usually look directly at the top center, and you move down, and then you go to the top left, and then you go to the bottom. That's usually how most people will operate and look at the post. And there's actually a picture. I'll try to find it and post it in the comments later on. That like you literally read it and be like, oh, you're reading this first, you're reading this second, and then you're looking at. Okay, I'm just like, when I did that like 3 or 4 times, and I'm just like, what? How the fuck did you know what I'm about to do? And then I'm like, I realized that that's just the way that the brain starts to look at things. And once you start to understand that, you can like create a post when you're actually creating your own post in a way where people will engage in it much more efficiently. Like one of the things, instead of in the section below, like asking them to say yes, you can actually add it into the post itself, like type yes below if you agree type of thing. And that instantly creates engagement. And another thing that Instagram is going to change up really soon, and they've actually already implemented this in Canada, is they're going to get rid of the like feature. So the like feature is no longer going to be there. So if you want to show that you have a large engagement, that engagement can only be shown after, like, when this is going to be implemented in the US, through the comments. And the comments section is going to be the next form of like really seeing whether you have engagement or not in your account. I kind of like that. At the same time, I don't really like that. I don't have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, and I think the note for you guys to be aware of in that thread is it's always changing, guys. And so this is relevant today, and something can happen in a month that makes so many of the things that we're talking. There's some basic structure and strategies that are still going to be relevant, right? Like picking the one thing, asking for engagement, the aesthetic, like all these things, the 4, the checklist of 4 things for anything that you're posting. All of these are going to be constant, almost across platforms and across time. But there's specific things that are specific to Instagram. I remember I did an Instagram training about 2 months ago, and a tool that I shared back then, I'm pretty sure they went bankrupt and they no longer exist, right? So things in the social media world, and specifically I would say Instagram, they change quickly. They're moving very quickly. So you really want to stay on top of things. And the algorithm is changing a lot.
Yeah. And I think that's another really big reason why there should be like multiple different social media fields that you're getting into. Although I would definitely recommend penetrating like one specific area first and then branching out, because then it's really easy to like trickle down your followers from Instagram onto Facebook or like LinkedIn or something like that. It's a lot harder to grow all of them at the same time. So really just focus on like 1 or 2 of them. I recommend only one of them and grow it to a certain point, and then from there start to mix and match things. And also when you start getting to that point, definitely look into having a team. That's what I'm working on right now. I know for like the next week or 2, I'm going to be on my own, but then after that, I'm going to have a team behind me, making sure that they have like a very similar, like the values thing, that's very big. Make sure that your entire team knows what you stand for. And earlier,
Share more
actually,
about that. Share more about that.
So, okay, I'm gonna go back to a little past thing. So in the past, I got my sister to agree to do all my social media managing and stuff, and it was in a way great because I didn't have to handle the post anymore. The one thing that kind of made it difficult was I kind of missed like viewing all the people that I was talking to, interacting with them, and like actually engaging with everyone. And also like I missed the aspect of like really reminding myself of the thing that I wanted to like express to everyone. But one of the things that I learned from that was I told her very specifically all the things that I value in the Instagram account. I told her very specifically all the things that she wants. She's like, why are you like micromanage me and stuff? I'm not trying to I tried to explain to her, I'm not trying to micromanage you. I'm just trying to get you to understand that this Instagram account isn't just an Instagram account. For me, it means a lot more. And there are very specific values that this Instagram account I want to instill in the people that are viewing it. And if you are not aligned with those values, then those values are not going to be going across in a way that's aligned and congruent to the other person in a way that they can take it and start acting on it and sharing it with other people. And once I got her to really understand it, then she's like, okay, I get it. Like, all right. But basically things didn't work out with her. That's why I'm trying to find like another team. So when you have a team, and this is true for social media or business or anything, you have to make sure that the entire team is very clear on what values you're trying to instill in the customer or the people that are like trying to engage with you. And that usually comes down to what your own values are. If you don't know what your own values are, it's very difficult to really create a set of values for the business itself. For example, going back to our business mastery example, we were there. We made a lot of crazy things that other teams didn't happen because we knew very clearly and defined very early on what our values were for our team. And two of the main ones was we wanted to make sure that things were running efficiently and being managed properly. And one of the biggest ones for us, or two of the biggest ones for us, was we wanted to make sure our team was taken care of and that we were having fun. Those were our three major primary values that we stuck throughout the entire event. And not every team in the organization of the crew and volunteers had that same structure of values. They had their own form of values that they're applying and using. And one of the things that we did was we made sure, first of all, we were the only team that we were actually co-captains. Every other team had like just a senior captain. So we made sure that both of us were aligned with the values. And we were. It was perfect. It was like I think that's what made us go really quickly forward. We both had very aligned values. And from there, we were able to trickle it down into our team. We were able to tell our team that, hey, look, like we value the whole aspect, like being over here and like doing our job and all that kind of stuff. But this is not just about here, like volunteering and crewing and all that. This is about us actually having a fun and enjoyable experience together as a team. And it's about us getting to know each other and grow together. And the fact that we actually made that very clear to them earlier on, and you did a very good job about that, by the way.
Thanks.
So the fact that happened was what actually made it so our entire team was operating as a unit. And one of the things that we had higher ups that we were reporting to, and our higher ups had different values compared to us. And if you remember, during the first and second day, we were very stressed out, extremely stressed out because they're pushing their values on us, and those values were not aligned with our values. So, like things happened, we got really frustrated. We left the premise and like had like these crazy experiences and magical epiphanies that started to happen. And we came back and then we're like, you know what? We're not going to let them install their values into us. Instead, we're going to be the coffee bean. So like one of the stories, my favorite stories, by the way, that I constantly like remind myself of is like, I always tell myself, be the coffee bean. So there's 3 different pots. They're boiling. One of them is like a potato. One of them has eggs in it and the other one has coffee in it. After you boil the one with the potato in it and you take it out, it's really mushy. And the potato in the beginning, it was very hard and sturdy. And after it went through a period of stress, which is the hot water, it turned mushy and it was able to, like anyone can squish it and break it down. The eggs in the beginning, they're very soft and like if you dropped it, break and create a mess and all that kind of stuff. And once they went through a period of stress, they became very hard and rigid and like things couldn't really easily penetrate through it. And then the coffee bean, like usually that's what happens with most people when they go through an exterior form of stress. And the coffee bean was a little bit different. The coffee bean, instead, when it went through the period of stress, instead of changing its own structure and the way that it operated, it changed the water around it and created coffee, which is why we get to enjoy coffee. So if you really want to create an organization where people are enjoying the work that they're doing, you have to be like the coffee bean, where you have to know what your values are, and you have to, even under periods of stress, stay aligned with those values, which we did. And after a certain point, the higher ups that we had, they started to get in alignment with our values instead of us getting in alignment with their values. And that was such a beautiful thing to experience too. Like, that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And it's absolutely true. So this is just like general business advice, but specifically for your Instagram accounts, you have to know what you're about, right? So you as a person got to do the work to know who you are, what you're about. You need to figure out for your company. I literally just had a coaching conversation with one of my clients where we were talking about him bringing on people, and some people not working and some people, yes, working. And we came together and we said, these are your top 5 values for your company, right? And any person that you bring on board needs to be like in agreement, or needs to be in integrity with these 5 values. And so your Instagram is an extension of your business. Your Instagram, your website, your Facebook presence, your LinkedIn business presence, your presence online anywhere is an extension, is an extra branch of your brand, of your business. And so you got to know what your business stands for. And the other thing, it's with our co-captaining experience, if you have the right values, you know what to say no to. So sometimes you're going to see something come at you and you're like, I don't agree with that. But you can't say no to something if you don't know what you're saying. Yes. Yes.
I was blessed to have you as a co-captain. Thank you.
It was so much fun. We made a great team. So you want to make sure that you know what you're saying yes to and what you're going to have to say no to. And so that applies to your Instagram presence and the focus that you have in terms of how it is that you structure your Instagram posts and the content that goes out there. Number 5.
Oh, so real quick, actually, I want to add on to what you're saying.
Yeah.
You said that the Instagram account and all the social medias are an extension for the brand itself. And I would go further and say that the brand itself is an extension of your own values.
Oh, for sure.
Because a lot of times it's very unconsciously done. But once you really start to understand it, you start to understand, like, if you value making a certain amount of money and that's how you're operating, your business is going to operate that way too. Versus if you're operating to provide massive value to your audience. That mindset is going to literally translate into the business that you're in, and that's going to translate into marketing that you do outside in social media as well.
Yes.
And another thing that's really big is not just in business, but in every area of your life, 80% of everything is the psychology that you use and the way that you approach things, and 20% of it is the mechanics. So even if you were to take away the top 5 practices, the mechanics of it, and implement it completely, it may not give you the same results if you don't approach it with the same psychology, or like a psychology that's powerful and congruent with what you want. So you have to really understand that the psychology is the thing that you want to focus on and improve on. And once you get that down, the mechanics are just going to be easy. It's going to feel effortless, to be honest, once everything's aligned.
Yeah.
So the 5th best practice. The 5th best practice, I believe, is to definitely don't see it as a form of competition with others. A lot of people, they will try to compete with other accounts that are like in the similar niche. But in reality, if you look at it, a lot of the corporations today that are really large and big, that we know, that are like household names like Apple, maybe even Tesla, like those are all brands that are collaborating with each other. They're not competing with each other. In fact, another thing, like the word competition, it comes from the root Latin word that means to conspire with one another. So once you start to conspire with one another, you start to collaborate with one another, you can actually take your brand to the next level. Like, one of the things that drastically increased the growth of my account was the fact that I started to reach out to everyone that was in a similar niche. that had like similar posts that use like similar things that I would actually copy the posts from and give credit to. I started reaching out to them. I started to get to know them. I started to like reach out to them more often, and every now and then now we do lives together where we'll either show up on their account or my account, and we're just trying to provide a shit ton of value for our audience. And the thing is, like, we both, or all of us, we all have different areas that we're really good at. Like some of them, they're really, really good at like the things that are like extremely spiritual. And that's kind of the thing where I'm like, oh, I don't really know too much of that. So I'll bring in someone that knows more of it, and they can like explain that to my audience. So my audience gets a fuller perspective of it. For me, like they'll bring me in to do like the 12 laws of the universe, the values and all that kind of stuff. And I'll be able to give them more value in that perspective. And so it's just about figuring out like what you can collaborate with the people that you would usually compete with. Because there's always someone that you can collaborate with.
That's so cool. So what would be your top 3 tips for collaboration?
So one of the biggest ones is definitely doing Facebook Lives and reaching out to them. That's another thing that's really, really big. So I reached out to someone, their account handle is Law of Attraction Tribe. And this was the first time that I ever attempted to do a collab. So I contacted them. I'm like, hey, I see that your posts are done in Tampa. So do you live in Tampa? I'd love to get together. And they're like, yeah, totally. Let's do it. And I was just like, what? It's that easy? I didn't know it was that easy. Yeah, it's that easy. Like if people are contacting me and asking me about it, it's really easy. Like I'll talk with you guys. And I'm not saying that every account is this way, but you won't find out unless you actually try to contact them. So go ahead and contact them and try to figure out what you can do with each other. And so we met up in Tampa. We had a great conversation. We figured out different ways. Like I told her different things that I would do. She told me different things that she would do. She explained different things I can do if I wanted to do a podcast and all that. And from there, like we started doing like a few Facebook Lives in the past. And now we have a working relationship where like if I ever want something or she's ever going to launch something with her field, like maybe it might be a workbook or something, she can always come onto my account and like talk about it and like provide value to people and explain what it's all about. And then if people in my audience want to go for it, they can go for that as well. For me, like if I'm working on a program or something, like I can do the same thing with her. And that took away that another aspect of it where people are trying to make like a quick short money through Instagram, which is like, oh, like I'll do for $20, I give you a shout out type of thing. I've never, not once, like taken money to do a shout out. And usually I completely like say no, especially promos for a product or something like that. I will not do promos for a product because that's not what my Instagram account's for.
It's not with your values.
Yeah, it's not in alignment with my values. And since I know my values, I'm able to quickly and efficiently say no, like what you said earlier. You know when to say no when you know what your values are. And so I'm easily able to say, no, this is not something that I want to do. And then I can refer them to other people that are doing the same thing, that are actually up for that type of offer and give both of them value type of thing. So the lives is one of them. Another thing is doing like a shout out for shout out type of thing. I usually do it through stories. And I usually do that with people that I take like content from really often. Sometimes they'll talk to me and they'll ask me, hey, do you want to do like a shout out for shout out type of thing? I don't do it all the time. And it's really rare that I do this, like the shout out for shout out thing. Maybe like once every month, once every 2 months, I'll just contact them and I'll say, hey, would you like to do a shout out for shout out? And then if we agree, we'll just do a story post where we're sharing one of the posts and be like, hey, follow these people over here. They're freaking rock. Or like, check out the friends at this place over here. And then like people will start going over there and like, we'll start to collab that way. The third form of collaboration, which is also really powerful, which is something that I'm working on right now, is actually creating something together. So you now have, because a lot of times on Instagram or any social media platform, you may have the actual like people there, but you may not have anything to sell to them. And if that's, you can always get together with people that have the similar niche and instead of like competing with each other for like getting more followers or getting more likes, you can just say, hey, why don't we try to figure out a way that we can all work together and create a product together, or create like this book together, or like something together and offer it to all of our audiences and find a way to give all of them value. And at the same time, we'll all make a certain amount of cash. We'll all have like fun doing it because it's in
Mm-hmm.
alignment with our own values, and it's something that we're going to do with our own channels. And I think that that's one of the powerful ways that a lot of the larger corporations do it too. Like with Apple and Tesla, a lot of the things, like, you know how Tesla's got like that big ass iPad in the middle?
It's a computer.
It's a computer. They had to contact Apple to get like information on that. So they would constantly collab on that portion. I think that's one of the biggest ways to do it.
I hope all of you business owners are taking notes. We've gone past Instagram, and now we're talking about great business practices that are really helpful, and they speak to your Instagram strategy, but they also speak to how you are a business owner and how your company, shows up in the world. So I'm all for this world of collaboration, working together. It's not what piece of the pie you take, it's how do you grow the pie and therefore share more of the pie together. And I think this is the new way of business being done. And so this is really good stuff, guys. So you want to make sure you tag everyone that you know, tag your people, anyone who's a business owner or not a business owner, just like a human being who wants to add value. Make sure that they're watching this. Okay, so that was awesome. That was really, really, really great. So let's see. So I think we have, can you talk about best practices for engagement, and then also why consistency in posting is important?
So if I was to have a number 6, that would be consistency. And honestly, consistency is the most important factor. And if you're not consistent with showing up.
Define consistency then.
For me, consistency means a daily practice type of thing. And consistency can be defined differently. So for some people, consistency can be defined as like every week doing something. And that's perfectly normal for something else. But in terms of social media, in terms of Instagram itself, it has to be something that you're doing daily.
Yes.
Not just once daily, but like the optimal amount of posts to do every day is like 1 to 3.
Yes, 1 to 3.
You want to make sure that you're having at least 1 to 3. If you have more than that, in the beginning, it's okay. But as time progresses, it's not going to really do you any favors. It's going to actually, like, first of all, lower your engagement rate. It's going to, there's a lot of different things and reasons why I don't do multiple posts. In the beginning, I'm not going to lie, like I actually did a lot of posts. I probably did like 12 posts in a day. I'd get on every hour and just start doing posting, like, massive action. Just post every hour. And it took a lot of time. For me, it was great though, because it was a lot of my values. It reminded me of the thing that I needed to do. And right when I was done with the post, I'd be like excited and like ready to like kick ass and like show up in the world and like have fun and engage with my friends or do something business. And for other people, that may not be the case. So for other people, really limit the posts for 1 to 3 times a day. You want to, as of right now, make sure that there's a sprinkle of videos that are going in. I haven't into this right now either. There's a big thing with Instagram where they're favoring a lot of videos in the algorithm. One of the ways that I like to do it though is I'll upload an Instagram TV video, which is like a lot longer, and then I'll just post that as a actual like post.
The preview,
and then they can like watch the first minute of it. You want to make sure that that first minute is extremely captivating to the point where they're watching and they're like, oh, like I want to know more, and then they'll go through the rest of it and watch the rest of it. If you have that down, then you're gonna get a lot of engagement from there.
And also, if you're posting videos on Instagram, make sure that to the extent that you can edit it, add music plus making the actual content of that first like 10 seconds super engaging. Like, you basically want to ask yourself, if I were watching this, would I be engaged? And so adding music, adding like a real person and adding engaging emotional content, whether that be a question, a statement that makes you go like, wait, what? I have to listen. Make it engaging, whether, again, and that's for video or just any of your content.
So I agree with that to a certain point. I agree with that once you are a little further in and once you may have a team. In the beginning, I would say just do the video.
Something is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. Yes, that too.
And the thing is, like, in the beginning, once you start building that muscle, you want to make sure that the video is all like obviously offering value. Once you get the value portion down, then you can start doing the editing and make it even better.
Mm-hmm.
There's always room for improvement, and progress is actually the key to creating like a fulfilling experience and growing your Instagram account. If there's not a form of progress going on, if you're and that's another thing, like I used to be a perfectionist. So I wouldn't do anything until everything was perfect. So I would never do anything at all because nothing was ever freaking perfect. So instead of just focusing on the perfection aspect of it, just get the thing done and then like slowly find different ways to improve it and make it better along the way.
Yes. Amen. So I think we've covered most of it. I do want to touch really quickly on aesthetic, guys. So aesthetic, what it means is when people look at your feed, do they find it appealing? Do they like, what sort of emotions do they get from looking at your feed? Do they get a headache when they look at your feed because everything is just sporadic and random, and you have all the like, you don't have a specific like color theme or just any sort of theme, it's just random pictures? That feels overwhelming to the human brain. So again, especially if you are a business, find some sort of theme. So if you guys look at my feed, what you'll find is the checkered board pattern. I do a white post and then a color post. And all of the content, there's like specific ways that the content is formatted, but in terms of the way that it looks, it's a pattern. And my team knows the pattern. I know the pattern, so we know how to do it. And there's a specific look. There's multiple tools out there for you to do, better design. And you can just use what Jay said and, share somebody else's that is in line with that aesthetic and make sure that you give them credit. So I had an event where I was doing some coaching on Instagram, and the people that came to my event, they said, yeah, we looked at your Instagram and we thought we have to go, right? So if it didn't look professional, and you are business owners, we're talking about a business, in a business context, your Instagram feed, as well as your Facebook, business profile, it needs to look professional. This is not just like something that you're throwing up there. You have to bring professionality into it. And so that means a very specific aesthetic. Do you have any other thoughts about aesthetic?
I think that is definitely one of the most important things. If it's not appealing to the eye, most people will like maybe show like, and that's another thing, like when you look at that, a lot of times when you're doing the post, you're only thinking the specific post. And while that is going to get engagement in all the other areas, when people show up into your account and look at the content that you've posted consistently, the thing that's going to make them hit the follow button more than often is like seeing, first of all, the fact that you're consistent, and the second is like it's appealing to the eye. If it's appealing to the eye, they're going to hit follow much more easily.
Yes.
If it's not.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so if you had to start all over today, if you were starting a brand new account from nothing and you didn't have any help, you're doing this completely by yourself, what would be the things that you would be absolutely doing and prioritizing, and why?
So it was kind of funny because I actually got my sister to do it for a short period of time, and then I got some of my friends to do it. One of my friends actually got her account to like 10,000 followers, and my sister got her account to like 1,000 followers, and then they just gave up. They're like, oh, this is too much work. I'm like, I'm telling you, consistency is important. What are you guys quitting right now? Like, this is the point where you got to keep posting and like take it to the next level. So one of the things that I would do, I think I would operate differently from most other people because I have the experience. So the first thing is like learn from the experience that I'm sharing with you right now. Stay very consistent. There was a time period where I stopped for 6 to 8 months, where if I stayed and kept on posting for those 6 to 8 months, I'd probably be not at 100,000 followers right now, but at like 200 or maybe 300,000 followers right now. Because I would have like made that happen. I would have showed up in a different way, especially if I was implementing all the things that I am right now at that time. So this is really a thing where time is going to be like and another thing is when we're looking at social media platforms, Instagram is one of those that are very heavily saturated right now. So there's a lot of different people here right now. So, and as time progresses, there's just going to be more and more people coming into it. There may be something where something might happen where everyone starts to leave it and go to another platform. If that happens, the entire thing changes. But right now, there's more and more people constantly joining Instagram. And since that's the case, you have to understand that like there's a lot of different things, and you have to understand that the algorithm is constantly changing because of that. And you have to understand that even like really small things that might not seem to make a difference. Like for me, I started to notice patterns with small things. Like you have to test out small things at a time, one little thing at a time, not like completely change everything and then see how that goes. I would constantly like change small things and how that's working. For me, one of the things that I started to realize that I don't think we touched on was like the hashtags, like putting a certain amount of hashtags in the post itself, and then the rest of the hashtags in the comments, it results in a higher engagement for all the
really?
people I've done it with. Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a specific number? Do you put all 30 in the post and then like it?
I'm kind of testing that around right now.
Okay.
So there's like like around 5 to 6 is what I usually have in the top section.
In the actual post, yeah.
In the comment, and that's actually like the post that I do with just the comment section, there's more engagement in that. So I started to realize that this is something that's consistent and something that's actually producing a certain result that I like, which is the engagement. So I'm going to do it more often in other posts as well. So I would really just start testing different things. And if I don't have an expert, which I'd just recommend finding someone that knows what they're doing and getting to understand it like much more in depth with them. But if I wasn't an expert and I didn't have one around, I would just start testing every little thing.
So just test every little thing. All right.
Yeah.
So in terms of what you would do is you would have focus. You would be very focused as to what that account was for, right?
That's definitely for a fact. Yeah. So like we talked about earlier, know exactly what the account is going to be about and focus on that specifically. Don't try to have like don't try to make a channel where you're doing like traveling, law of attraction, and like working out at the gym at the same time.
At the same time.
Make it very, very specific. Unless this is like a branded account, personal branded account, that's a different story. But even then you want to have a specific focus.
Then you want to have a focus.
Even then you want to have a specific focus on Instagram. On Facebook, if you want to go ahead and post all those things, go for it. Like have fun with it. And another option is to create multiple accounts where you're focusing on each niche on those accounts. That's another option. That's just a lot more time consuming. For me, I learned in the past that that's not sustainable. So I'm just going to focus on the one thing that matters most to me. And I'm going to focus on that. And like so it's like, you know how 20% of people or something produces 80% of the result. So what 20% of the thing can I focus on the social media that's going to give me 80% of fulfillment in doing this consistently, wanting to show up consistently? And for me, it was the law of attraction field. So I showed up in there and I consistently am doing it even now.
All right. So if you're starting from scratch, just it's like a super clear list. You would focus, you would do the hashtag research and implement that. And anything else? I'd be like,
research. Find someone that knows what they're doing.
Find someone that knows what they're doing.
Get a social media, maybe not in the very beginning, but as time progresses, like after I reach a certain milestone, maybe like 5 to 10,000 followers, I would definitely find a social media team so that I can hand it off to them earlier on. And then I can explain to them all the things that they need to do. Although even if I was to do that, one of the things that I would make sure is that I know and understand everything that I'm doing on social media. That way, or on Instagram. So that way, if they're saying something, I can know whether they're bullshitting me and whether they're just saying shit, or whether they're actually serious and they know what they're talking about. And from there, like I can decide whether I want to continue to work with them or not. The next thing is I would make sure that when I get the team that there's a very aligned set of values. I would like that's another thing. Like I would know what the account stands for. Once you know the niche, you want to know what specific information you want to provide to the audience, what specific value you want to provide to the audience, and that value is, or that thing that you're offering is usually in tune with the values that you have as a person or as a brand or business. And getting clear on those and then pushing that through the content will get people that are showing up and that are also in the same value system or like trying to get into that.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. The last thing that I will touch upon, guys, is the monetizing your Instagram. We are business owners for a reason. It is your job. It is your duty to make money. So you guys are going to hear me talking about money and profit all the time. My program is called, Zero to Profit Blueprint. And then I have the 0 to millions. There's like a concert out there. Okay. Yeah, I was like, was someone knocking on the door? No, it's just a concert. Okay. We have the 0 to Millions show, right? So I am consistently talking to experts. I'm speaking to business owners, and whether you be a solopreneur, whether you're like a retail store owner, in terms of how do you take where you're at right now and get to that next level of profit, get to that next level of abundance. And so, hi. I'm right there. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, guys. Great. So
are they inviting you to go to the concert?
To the concert, yes. It's time. No, that they're towing someone's car, and it's like not mine. It's right there where it's supposed to be. Yes. So we need to monetize your duty, and so you guys want to like you're watching my content because it is. I want to create an army of millionaires and billionaires for impact, right? And the only way that we can change things around so that we can have an impact is if you're making money. So yes, you have, an email list. Yes, you have your Instagram following. Yes, you have your people on Facebook. And no, I don't want you to be a pesky, gross, like buy for me, buy for me, buy for me. That's not what I'm talking about. And I need you to have a strategy by which, in a way that you provide so much value, people are dying to give you money. And you cannot create that if you do not have a strategy to monetize. And so, yes, let's get those followers on Facebook. Let's get those followers on Instagram. Let's get those people on YouTube. And I need you to have something to sell. I need you to monetize because you get to change the world with me if you monetize. So where I come in is in your content. So there is an actual ratio by which you provide value when you sell. So you can't just be selling all the time, but you need to be selling, baby. You need to be selling at some point. And as the business owner, it's your job to sell. And if you are not already, if you go to my specific feed, you'll see that the link bio. So you guys, there's like terms for each part of your account on Instagram. For my account bio, it's a link
so
tree.
Much we haven't even covered.
I know there's so much we haven't covered.
There's so many different things on Instagram.
There's so much. I know.
Yeah.
So if you guys join my Zero to Profit Blueprint course, actually, we will have an intensive on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on all the social media platforms that are out there, and I'll teach you how to monetize each of them. So for Instagram, I need you to establish a linked tree. So a link tree link. So why link trees? Because all the experts are doing, not just because of the experts, like it is what allows for people to be like, oh, this is cool. I love your stuff, Jay, right? I love the stuff that you have here. How do I get more? I already established that I like you and I trust you. And your job, guys, as business owners, is to create value at different, price points where people want to they want to buy everything. Your job as a business person is to create such incredible experiences in terms of the products and the services that you're creating that people want to buy anything that you create ever. And that's when you create a raving fan culture. And so at every step, they already love you, they like you, they've engaged with you, you've done a really great job of providing value. Now they want to take things to the next level. And that's where your offerings, right? So this is where Linktree, there's so much more strategy here that we're not going to have time to go into, but I need you to have a Linktree link, and I want you to have all of your offerings there. So if you guys need to join next week for Business Fundamentals Monthly, where we're going to be talking about lead magnets. So one of your offerings on your Linktree offerings needs to be your lead magnet. Your lead magnet is going to connect to your email marketing strategy. And you need to have an email marketing strategy, guys. So many of you want to shake you because you've been in business for 20 years, for 30 years, and you are leaving so much value and money on the table because you are not executing on your email marketing strategy. So I need a lead magnet that leads people to your email marketing. I also, any offerings that you have, you add them there. Any discounts that you guys have, whatever your business is, I'm going to want those sorts of offerings in that link bio. So that is how we monetize. And then again, especially if you're the owner, if you're part of the team, the leadership, in your stories, I want to see your faces. People want to buy from real people. They want to not just buy from this like thing, you know, a logo. They want to buy from people. They want to like you and care about you. And so I want to see some human presence in your stories, especially. And I want to see some, you know, some testimonials and some stories about the work that you're doing in your posts. So that is how we monetize our audience. There's so much more to talk about in terms of how do we take Instagram to the next level in terms of our business. But we shared some amazing strategies. If you guys do have follow-up questions, make sure to include those in the comments below. So Jay, if people wanted to be in touch with you, where can they find you and how can they follow up with you?
So before I get to that, going back to the Linktree thing.
Yes.
I've used Linktree in the past, and I know there's like a monthly cost and all that kind of stuff. And if you know how to use WordPress, there's a really quick and easy way to create a WordPress version of that, which is much more easier and efficient. And for me, my Linktree, instead of having like the image that is usually there's like a video that really just explains what everything is in my Linktree. So right when they go into that link, it shows in the video, it explains what each link is going to take them to. And then that link, once they click it, they can go to the specific thing that they want. So if you understand how to use WordPress and you have like a whole domain name set up and you have the hosting and all that kind of stuff, look into just creating your own version of that, because it's much more efficient and you can like play around with it and do much more than just what Linktree offers on their website. Now, getting in touch, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. You can just like message me on Facebook, or you can go, I put the link in for the Instagram account. You can join the Instagram account. You can see what I'm doing on there, see how I operate on there. You can message me, DM me, and ask any questions that you want. And another thing, so those are like the two main ways. 1 second. Okay. All right, yeah, so those are the two main ways that you can contact me.
Perfect. Awesome. So I do have to start wrapping things up. I have a call in 4 minutes. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We are going to be doing more of these interview series for business owners, right? Sharing a lot more. We're going to be sharing a lot more in terms of, let's see, what is the question? Values. I don't think so. Not right now.
Okay. I didn't think so either.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you guys again. We're going to be sharing more interview series in terms of experts who help you take your business online and really thrive in the 21st century. So if you guys have any questions, if you have suggestions for topics that you'd like for me to cover, experts you'd like to bring me on for me to bring on board, let me know. Follow me on all the things. You guys know I'm on everything. So I'm on YouTube. I'm here on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on podcast. I do have my 2 classes that I teach. So it's a master class for your life. And then we have the master class for your business next week. So on Tuesday for your business, we're going to be going into lead magnets and everything that you need to know about creating lead magnets. And then the week after that for your life, we have basically 2 to 3 sessions, 2 to 3 months, where all we're going to be talking about is abundance and abundance mindset and money strategy. And how do you strategize around getting your money house in order? I love talking about money. I think it's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. So we're going to be focusing on that profit. We do have Zero to Profit Blueprint that's coming up. I have slots this week and next week to talk to you to see if you are a good fit for the pilot. So make sure to reach out to me. Make sure that you're following all the things. Follow Jay and all the things. Send any questions that you guys have our way. And I cannot wait for our next get together, and sending you guys all so much love. Mwah. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all. Have an awesome day. You freaking rock.
You do rock.